So last week we went over some of the worst mid-card title matches TNA Wrestling has ever produced. From terrible title reigns to equally awful matches, it's almost impressive how much TNA has been able to fumble the bag with mid-card championships. That said, not all of the matches fought for mid-card titles have been bad. In fact, some have been really good. While this list is being made before Steve Maclin's match with Mance Warner for the international title, these matches here are the gold standard for TNA's mid-card. Also, there will be no X-Division title matches on this list, as that's a topic for another day. Welcome to Lace 'em Up Media, and here are the 10 best mid-card title matches in TNA Wrestling. Before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell to be updated when future videos drop. Honorable mention: Laredo Kid vs. KC Navarro, Under Siege 2024. A match made at the last minute, but that certainly doesn't stop Laredo Kid from defending his digital media championship in a high-octane pre-show match. Also, it's very likely this match and the outpour of support on social media helped to get Navarro signed to a contract with TNA. Number 10. Joe Hendry vs. Moose, No Surrender 2023. Before it was officially deactivated earlier this year, the Digital Media Championship did provide fans with some memorable moments and matches during its heyday, as seen with the title reign of Joe Hendry. After embarrassing Moose on Impact and subsequently beating him in an upset victory at Hard to Kill, Hendry and Moose would fight for the DMC once again, but this time it would be a .combat match, aka a hardcore match with the weapons mostly being social media or video game related. This match is hilarious from beginning to end, as everything from Moose's disdain over these internet-based weapons to Hendry hitting Moose in the balls with a toy car to that spot with a VR headset is gut-bustingly funny. Sure, this match isn't anything a wrestling purist is going to enjoy, but in terms of perfectly blending action and humor into pro wrestling, this match more than overachieved. Number 9. Jordynne Grace vs. Chelsea Green, Turning Point 2021 pre-show. Almost 1 month after becoming the inaugural digital media champion, Jordynne Grace was set to defend the belt against Chelsea Green in the second match of TNA's Countdown to Turning Point pre-show in 2021. A contrast in styles can best describe this match, as Grace's strength is on full display as well as the quickness of Chelsea, who is able to keep up with the juggernaut in a few points in this match. Frequent pinfalls, a gorilla press slam, a curb stomp from the second rope and a gory bomb are just some of the moves that make up this match. An underrated match between two talented knockouts. Number 8. Magnus vs. Samoa Joe, Bound for Glory 2012 and Turning Point 2012. A 2-for-1 entry with this next one, as it sees the former TNA Tag Team Champions collide for the television championship. Their first encounter came at that year's Bound for Glory event, with the future NWA World Champion bringing the fight to the Samoan submission machine, while also not being afraid to cheat when the opportunity presented itself. In spite of the back-and-forth nature of their match, Joe was able to make Magnus tap out to retain his TV title. After a few more matches on Impact, a rematch was set for Turning Point, with the match being no disqualification, which allowed the future SmackDown general manager to use a steel chair on his much larger opponent. In the end, Joe would remain the champion after another rear naked choke onto Magnus, thus ending their feud in impressive fashion. Number 7. Taiji Ishimori vs. Matt Sydal, Crossroads 2018. 2018 was the year that began TNA's climb back to prominence in professional wrestling, while also putting on some incredible action like this title versus title match on a special edition of TNA Impact called Crossroads. With both the X Division and Grand Championships at stake, Ishimori and Sydal had to pull out all of the stops in order to gain the upper hand, which was much easier said than done. As to be expected, this contest was fast-paced, especially on Taiji's part, which leads to Sydal having to use submission moves in order to ground his fellow high flyer. After few near falls and countering each other's finishers, Matt Sydal scored the win and became a double champion in the process. Just a shame he soon handed the belt to his spiritual guru, Josh Matthews, on an episode of Impact. Don't ask, it's a sort of long and nonsensical story. Number 6. Matt Sydal vs. EC3, Genesis 2018. A few months before revealing his spiritual guide and subsequently handing over the belt to Josh Matthews, Sydal would wrap up his feud with Ethan Carter III over the TNA Grand Championship. After numerous failed attempts at capturing the gold and constantly being reminded that he is a choke artist by EC3, Seidel would face Carter at that year's Genesis event, but with no judges and no 3 to 5 minute rounds. Ironically, the matches for the Grand Championship ended up being much better once the whole round system was done away with. Anyhow, a battle of speed versus power ensues with the champion pummeling his opponent whilst constantly signaling how much of a choke artist he is. Despite a tepid reaction from the crowd and a few nasty bumps taken by Seidel, the former WWE Tag Team Champion is able to counter EC3's offense long enough to hit his signature shooting star press to score the win and become the new Grand Champion. Number 5. Bobby Lashley vs. Bobby Roode, Bound for Glory 2015. Although an overlooked event when it comes to Bound for Glory pay-per-views, the 2015 edition saw the Battle of the Bobbies as Lashley faced Roode for the King of the Mountain Championship. And yes, we too forgot Roode once held the TNA title with multiple names. The pace of this match in the early stages is a bit methodical, but once both men find their groove, the action picks up considerably. Lashley and Roode know each other so well by this point that they're able to counter each other's moves with ease, and they even hit each other's finishers during this match. Some really good stuff with this one. Number 4. Drew Galloway vs. Moose, TNA Impact, March 2, 2017. Following his release from the WWE in the mid-2010s, Drew wrestled all over the place in order to build up his credentials and even landed in TNA for a couple of years, which saw him become the first Scottish-born wrestler to win the TNA World Championship. Of course, it would be a matter of time before Drew returned to the WWE, and did so when he returned as part of the NXT brand in April of 2017. Before he left TNA though, he decided to go out with a banger of a match on the March 2nd edition of Impact where he defended the Grand Championship against former champion Moose, who was recovering from a fight he had with Cody Rhodes earlier in the night. What follows is a hard-hitting contest with moments of explosive offense peppered throughout, as seen by the fact that each man would start off the round getting the jump on their opponents. By the end of it, Moose regained the Grand Championship. Galloway left TNA doing the honors of putting someone over, and not even heel Josh Matthews couldn't ruin this match with his terrible commentary. Number 3. Booker T vs. AJ Styles, Sacrifice 2009. We spoke last week about Booker's title match with Shane Sewell at Against All Odds and how the phenomenal one returned following the match before grabbing the Legends title. Well, it's time to follow up on this by talking about a great match fought for that championship. After beating Booker in a servable match to win the TNA Legends Championship, their feud culminated with an I Quit match at the 2009 Sacrifice pay-per-view. The intensity is certainly ramped up compared to their match at Destination X, and the action sees Booker and AJ wearing each other down while also jockeying for control. A concerned Jenna Mraska throws in the towel for Booker, quite literally, leading to Styles keeping the gold after a great pay-per-view match. And while we're on the subject of mid-card title bouts featuring AJ Styles, Number 2. Douglas Williams vs. AJ Styles, Final Resolution 2010. Take one of the most recognizable stars in TNA and pair him with one of the most underrated talents you have on the roster, and tell them to have a near 15-minute classic on pay-per-view. And well, you end up with a match like this. A perfect blend of British and X-Division style of wrestling on display, with Williams hitting everything from uppercuts to German suplexes, while AJ attempts to keep the match going at a fast pace and hits moves like a springboard moonsault on Williams through the ring ropes. Williams would pick up the win after hitting both his finisher but also the Styles Clash onto AJ to become the new television champion. A competitive and hard-hitting affair between these two, which could be used to describe our final entry. Number 1. Brian Myers vs. Bhupinder Gujjar, TNA Impact, September 22, 2022. One of the best matches to be fought for the Digital Media Championship. Brian Myers had always been relegated to tag team or jobber status for most of his wrestling career, but his run with the DMC gave the New York native perhaps his best singles run of his entire career, with one of the biggest highlights being this ladder match which opened the September 22, 2022 edition of Impact. After ending Bhupinder Gujjar's undefeated streak at the Countdown to Emergence event back in August, Myers, who is an expert on ladder matches, defended his belt against the young Indian wrestler who ended up getting blood in the early stages of the match. Notable moments include Myers getting hit with a cutter off the ladder and the sickening powerbomb Gujjar takes on a ladder on the outside. In terms of establishing a new star, giving a seasoned veteran their flowers and overall having a great title bout is why I think this match is, as for right now, The best of the best to be fought for a mid-card championship in TNA wrestling. And that's our list. What do you think was the best mid-card title match in TNA wrestling? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to follow us on X/Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell to be updated on new videos.